And some people are listening to this and they've been creating already for 7 months this year. They might not need to create anything else the rest of the year. They might just need to promote the things that they've already done.
Welcome to the Simple and Smart SEO Show podcast, where we talk all things brand building SEO. I'm your host, Crystal Waddell, here to bridge the gap between SEO strategy and real world business success. Whether you're an entrepreneur, marketer, or SEO enthusiast, this is your place to learn, share, and build a brand that stands out. So grab a coffee or your favorite tea, and let's dive into smarter SEO for your business. Welcome back to the Simple and Smart SEO Show podcast. I'm your host, Crystal Waddell. So excited to have you back with us today. And you are going to love our special guest, Ross Simmonds of Foundation Marketing and Distribution.ai. He is the founder of both and also a podcaster and also a keynote speaker. And he's going to be the keynote speaker at Brighton SEO in San Diego this year. So Ross, thank you so much for taking the time to come chat with us.
Happy to be here, Crystal. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to jam with you today and share some insights, hopefully, that your listeners can get a lot out of.
Yeah, I know. So you got to catch me up. I kind of just ran into you a few months ago. So what's your story? How did you end up here? How did you end up founding these companies, keynote speaking, and give us all the deets?
For sure. Yeah, so I've been obsessed with the internet from the time I was a young kid. I ran an internet company all through university. I've always enjoyed the idea of creating things. I've been an entrepreneur since I was in elementary school, creating things like board games, etc. Having a do-rag business when I was in high school, selling do-rags to all of my local friends and family members, running a fantasy football blog. All of those things have just kind of compounded over time to create kind of my career. I took that fantasy football blog and was able to reach tons of people all over the world. And that light bulb started to go off way back then that if I created some content online, maybe I could get a job out of it. When I graduated, it was during the first in our generation kind of recession. So I came into a job market that was rough. And I was I need to create content about business, about marketing, about software, about SEO, social media, etc., and try to break through and get a job. So that's what I did. I just kept creating. And eventually more and more brands started to reach out because they were reading my ideas and they wanted me to come and work with them. I live in a small little province on the east coast of Canada called Nova Scotia, where the population is still less than 1 million people. Now I was creating all of this content and brands all over the world started to fly me out to coach their C-suite, to coach their marketing teams on how to think about these things. So that started to happen and that started to grow my career. I realized that I can't do it all, so I started to build out a team. And now Foundation is a content marketing firm that works with some of the biggest brands in the world, helping them scale their content engines. And as somebody who probably has undiagnosed ADD, I wanted to keep building things. So since then, I've started multiple companies, invested in tons of startups, I've written books, I've launched projects, continue to write and launch multiple podcasts. One was on Superman, one is on business and marketing. And then most recently, my newest endeavor is Distribution.ai. So I'm a busy person. I've also got 3 little ones, which is also fun and a joy. But that's a bit of a quick snapshot, the LDR of who I am and what I'm all about.
Wow, that is so cool. So you know what I just love is that you carved out a space for yourself in the industry. And I have to be honest, I'm trying to kind of follow in your footsteps, maybe not the exact footsteps. I shared with you that I used to be an adapted PE teacher. So I went from special needs PE to SEO, but I just fell in love with the solving of the problems of how to get found online, my own e-commerce store. So it's just amazing. I can't wait to read even more of what you've put out and learn from you. So that's really awesome. One of the things that I really enjoyed from the get-go was just hearing your take on content marketing. And you probably answer this question quite a bit. So I do apologize if I'm not coming from an original angle here. But
no worries.
You said you wouldn't plant seeds in your garden and never water them again. So I want to talk about that and the fact that a lot of the content that we create just kind of sits there stagnant.
Yeah.
And I think that people struggle with the watering part. And especially now that AI is changing, how fast those seeds can grow or get ignored, or I don't know. What's your take on that?
I think when I look at most small business owners or even medium-sized business owners, a lot of them struggle with the same thing. And that is reach. They oftentimes have a great business, they have a great product, they have a great solution, but they have a really difficult time doing things with the thing that they can actually do really well. And they will create, for example, a great website, or they'll create a great product, and they might even record a very good Instagram reel about this thing that they developed. I see it in the real estate industry all the time where realtors have this great property. They'll record this cool video. They put it up on Instagram once, and then they don't do anything with it again. Or an e-commerce owner, one of my friends, they run an oatmeal bar company, and she has an amazing product, and she'll create these cool reels, but she'll put it up once and never do anything with it again. And the problem with that is, folks, if you have a story worth telling, you have to recognize how big the world is and how many people you're actually reaching by putting up one post. If you put up a post and you reach 500 people, congratulations. That's great. But if you put up that same post 2 weeks from now, guess what you're going to reach? Another 500 people. And sure, there might be a little bit of overlap, but you might reach an additional 300 people that you didn't reach the first time. And that playbook of taking things that you have done in the past and constantly resharing them, it's something that I want more and more organizations, more people, more brands, more entrepreneurs to really tap into, because they're oftentimes sitting on gold, but they don't do anything with it. And that is something that really gets me excited about the possibilities of making change. Is like, so many people have great ideas. So many people have great businesses. So many people have great stories, great content that they've created, content that could have actually helped someone. But the only reason why it hasn't done that thing is because they don't have the courage to promote it over and over and over again for this fear of being disliked or unfollowed, which is absolute chaos in my mind. I think everyone needs to get over this idea of fear online and be more open to promoting themselves, sharing themselves.
Yeah, it's interesting. You talked about some ADD. I think I have some of those as well. I think it's kind of like a common denominator of a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs for sure. Yeah. But even as a teacher, one of my favorite times of the year was the very beginning of the year where I could make a bulletin board, and I could create something new. Veteran teachers were just looking at me like, why are you working so hard? Yeah, because I never understood the idea of using something again and maybe just building on that thing rather than reinventing the wheel completely, having a system in place to where I could just build on what I've already created. That's what one of the biggest problems is with content. It's not just the content itself, but first part, not having to reinvent the wheel all the time. Yeah. And then second, having a system of repurposing, because it feels like it just falls in that digital black hole of like, I forgot I even made that.
Right. 100%. And I think that is one of the key things that a lot of people don't operate with. It's like we create this content calendar around what should we create next? What should we do next? What's the next thing I have to create? And then we get on somewhat of a hamster wheel of creation, when in reality, we need to incorporate within our process and our time, not just time to create, but also time to repurpose, to amplify those other things. So I would encourage people to ask themselves, like, what is the ratio that you have on a day-to-day basis around creation versus distribution? And most people will say that they spend 90% creating their content. 90% is like coming up with the idea, coming up with the reel, coming up with the blog post, coming up with the podcast, recording the podcast. And 10% is actually promoting that thing. And that's where that garden analogy comes through, because it's like, okay, so you spend all of your time planting the seed, but you spend no time taking care of it. If you have taken the time and energy to create something, you have literally exchanged the most valuable thing that we as humans have, which is time. If you've given up your time to do something, that thing that you have created is now an asset. So how do you get that asset in front of more people? There's only one way, and that is distribution. So you have to shift your behaviors to actually be connected back to this concept of, I've created something of value, more people need to see it. Unless you don't think it's good. If you don't think you've created good things, don't do it. Don't promote it. But that's a different problem. Right. If you actually believe that what you have created is worthwhile seeing, that it could help somebody, then you have zero excuse why you shouldn't be promoting it. And some people are listening to this and they've been creating already for 8-7 months this year. They might not need to create anything else the rest of the year. They might just need to promote the things that they've already done. And that will get them to feeling like, oh no, I have to always create. But that is a false mentality. Some people are sitting on already all the gold that they need. That gold just needs to get distributed, and they need to promote those things.
Yeah. I think sometimes too, when you're so close to your own stuff, you're used to hearing about it, or you've seen that post. And so you assume that everybody's seen that post, like they don't want to see that post 100%. Again. What is a nice cadence then? Because it's like, I don't want to post the same thing 5 times today and 5 times tomorrow or whatever, but how can I keep that working for me in a way that won't become redundant or bad practice?
Yeah. Great question. So I think there's a few ways to think about it. In one way, you should have a cadence associated with old assets. So if you have 10 pieces, then you have 10 posts that you can use to promote over the course of the next few weeks, all of those other things. So there's a gap in between that post being a repeat for like 10 posts. So you have 10 posts in between there. If you have 5, then that's your cycle. If you have 2, then yes, you do need to create a little bit more content, but typically it's like every 5 posts, you can recircle, reuse something from the old. In addition to that, I think there's always time for everyone to do a little bit of self-reflection and ask yourself, that post that I did, that podcast that I created, that YouTube video, how many views do you actually have? You have 400 views. How many people are in the world? How many people in the world would actually benefit from the story that you have? And then subtract 400 and tell me if that's still a substantial number, because it probably is. Like, we're talking about billions of people. It's close to impossible unless you are like Beyonce or Taylor Swift to reach everybody that you can try to connect with. So for that reason, I think most people just need to over promote. It's impossible. I've never seen someone share too much good content. You can share too much bad content, 100%. If you are putting out bad content, then people will unfollow you. They'll block you. They'll say, I don't want to listen to this anymore. But if what you are actually promoting is really good, no one will get mad at you.
Another thing I feel like as a small business owner and entrepreneur, when you're doing your own social media, you tend to lean into the promotional side of, or just,
always,
or like the not sales side, you know what I mean? It's more the marketing. Yeah. How do you balance the marketing and the fun stuff with the, hey, buy my stuff posts?
Right. Yeah. So I think the philosophy that I always talk about is called the 4 E's. So the 4 E's are this framework that I use around content creation for any business, any account. You need to create content that is educational, engaging, entertaining, or empowering. Any of that type of content that you promote and you create is going to resonate with folks. And you should share that content as much as possible. However, amidst all of this, if you are giving tons of value to people, give, tons of entertaining content, tons of engaging content, educational content. Let's use the wooden letters as an example. I'm going to educate people on the process that I go through as a creator, and I'm going to educate them on how I do the work. That's very captivating for people. Engaging content is telling people about the journey. Oh, I just got this new project. Let me tell you a little bit around how I'm going to bring this to life for this client. That's an engaging story. Entertaining. Maybe you create something that's funny. Maybe there's a funny word that you create. There's something that's like, hey, let me show you this. Let's see if you can guess before I get to the 4th letter, what I'm building, or some variation. So that's entertaining. Then there's empowering. Maybe you surprise a kid, or you surprise a school sports team or a sports athlete who just got into a new university or campus, that you're going to surprise them with a gift. That becomes an empowering story where you're celebrating somebody else. So you do all of that. Your followers go up. People are interested. They're engaged. They're like, I want to see more. And then underlying all of this, you can have the call to action on your profile. You have the call to action in the message where you're like, if you want to have something like this, send me a DM. The DMs are open. It's subtle, but it's powerful, right? So those types of messages intertwined within your story and your narrative, I believe, is the playbook. So you asked me a very short question and I gave you a very long answer. So let me try to put this on quick per sticker for people, because I know that I went long there. Give as much as possible. Give as much value as possible. Always strive to add value and subtly reference your business throughout, and value will find you back. I'm a big believer that if you give value to the internet gives you value back. And that has been how I've built my career. When I go into communities about marketing and business, when I go on stage and I speak at an event, I give away all my ideas for free. I give away all my content. I give it all away. And my hope, someone's going to hear it and they're going to be like, I can't do that. So let me just get him to do that. I like that. I can't do it. So Rob, let's talk. And that's how you win. And that's the approach.
Yeah. And trust me, no one is in their right mind is going to sit there and say, hey, why don't you tell me less about how to make my business better? So I really appreciate you shared that. Really awesome. Yeah. And something I noticed too about the difference in content marketing on social now is, like you said, instead of saying, oh, the link is in my bio, like in the caption, DM me. And I thought that's something that's really important to highlight for people, that there's been that shift of like staying on platform wherever you're at.
Yeah, it's a massive shift in behavior that I don't think a lot of folks have woken up to. I even struggle with it, because when I'm thinking about channels And as the like entrepreneur who's on the like, I still kind of view Instagram as like, this is my like personal space and Facebook is my personal space. But you get DMs from folks who are truly just like trying to do business on these channels. And I think it's the massive shift and everyone needs to just be okay with it. The tools like MeChat and stuff like that make it even easier today to do it, but it's a wild, wild west right now. It's cool. I love shifts. I love change, or I wouldn't be in this industry.
If it keeps it exciting, right? And I've signed up for MiniChat. I haven't fully optimized everything like I need to. I also use Go High Level for my business side of things where I help people, and they have a version of MiniChat that I haven't explored yet. So I thought that was cool, but that's, that's something on the never ending to-do list, as I like to say, about to explore at some point. Okay. So you are a content strategist, or you have a content company. How does that intersect with SEO? And like the fact that you're speaking about SEO.
No, great question. Yeah. So I'm a believer, and I will get a lot of slack for this, that content marketing is an overarching field. And SEO is a field within content marketing. I believe that content is the foundation of the internet. I think content is kind of the foundation of humanity. When you go back into the ancient text, then you think of the thing that keeps all of us connected. It's stories, it's content, hieroglyphic, all of that stuff. It's content. It's words, it's ideas, it's theories that are passed on from human to human and that we continue to pass on, we distribute, blah, 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 all of those things. So to me, content marketing is the overarching element of using content to drive business results. And SEO is a way to optimize some of the content that we produce as marketers, as businesses, as organizations. So when I look at a lot of our clients at Foundation, I'd say probably 50 to 60% of them are doing a blend between content marketing and SEO work. They're doing social media. Some of them are doing paid. We do have Reddit. We have GEO projects, a wide range, but it's all content. And SEO is a part of that equation. I've been in SEO for probably 15 years. I've seen a lot of changes. I've seen a lot of shifts, but I have never and will never really say that I am just a pure play SEO. I'm not. There's some brilliant minds in this industry and in this place that have more than 15 years of experience or have even less than 15, but they are practitioners of the SEO craft. I am not that. I am a content marketer first who understands enough to be deadly in SEO, enough to be deadly in social and all of the other areas and bring it all together and then bring in brilliant people to do certain elements, of course, as well. But I wouldn't say I'm a proper, true, nothing but SEO, but I love all those who are. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at in it.
But SEO falls under the umbrella of content marketing. How does it influence content marketing?
So if you create, let's say there's two different types of blog posts that you can develop in marketing. There's a bunch, but let's pretend we created two blog posts. One blog post might have the pure intention of driving social shares. So it doesn't matter if this piece ranks in Google. It doesn't matter if this piece ever gets an organic visit from SEO or Google in general. Some content that you develop should be, if you look at your marketing strategy, exclusively created because you want it to be shared inside of a organization. So you're doing like ABM style content. Some of the content has that sole intent. However, on the SEO side, there is some content that you are creating exclusively with the intention of capturing the demand associated with the volume of people typing in a query or a phrase in Google, or now with the rise of AI, influencing the LLM so they can consume that content and articulate it back to your user in a certain way. So when you have that mental model where we stop as marketers thinking that everything needs to be SEO'd or everything needs to go viral, we're able to think holistically around how different assets have different goals, the same way as an investor would think about their marketing, their investment mix. So I love investing and thinking about business from an investing lens. You can create content with a certain goal. You can invest in certain assets with a different goal. Some stock will give you dividends. Some stock will give you high growth, high rewards. Some of it will be low margins growth. Some people are willing to invest in crypto. Some people are willing to invest in real estate. Some people are willing to invest in bonds. Some people are willing to invest in early stage startups. The opportunities to invest in different things are significant. The same exists under the content marketing umbrella. You can invest in memes for LinkedIn. You can invest in SEO blog posts. You can invest in lead gen assets. You can invest in calculators. You can invest in landing pages. You can invest in email marketing, in videos, in podcasts, in YouTubes. All of these things are asset classes within the content world that you can invest in. And they all have different outcomes, different risks, different costs, all of those different things.
Again, thank you for joining us today. This is part one of my conversation with Ross Simmonds. And if you enjoyed the episode, please like and subscribe to the Simple and Smart SEO Show podcast, wherever you love your podcast, and come back to catch part two with Ross next week. See you then. Before you go, don't forget, if you want to finally feel confident about SEO, check out my new AI SEO Foundations course. In just 7 days, Crystal GPT will guide you step by step to make your website more findable and your business easier to buy from. Ready to get started? Visit SEOin7days.com and let AI make SEO simple. That's SEOin7days.com with the number 7.